So anyone who's watched my channel over the last couple of years would know that I love the Messi and Ronaldo rivalry. I'm a competitive guy by nature, and despite it being the thief of joy by most moist, modern and woke-minded Meltzer's murmuring admissions, I love comparisons. And what better comparison can you have than comparing the best to the best? It's just the best. However, this doesn't mean there aren't faults in this, because you see, while pitting these two absolute icons of the game against each other has helped us put things into perspective on occasion, on other occasions it has actually led us to lose perspective of their true abilities. In other words, comparing Messi and Ronaldo's separate attributes has at times led us to underrate the lesser player in question, and at times even overrate the better player in question. Let me explain. Right, I'm gonna start with what is for me the most obvious example. So as I've said about 430 times, in my humble opinion, Messi is the greatest dribbler the game has ever seen. And once again, in my humble opinion, his dribbling shouldn't really be compared to anyone in his era, and very few from even past history. But of course, that's not how all this works. And you know what, Messi fans? Go ahead, compare Messi and Ronaldo's dribbling abilities to win points. Good on you. But please remember who you're talking about. Like, do you know who this is? I don't care if he's not as good as Messi. No one probably is. But facts remain that Cristiano Ronaldo is not only arguably the greatest dribbler the Premier League has ever seen, but in his pure football peak in the late 2000s, I'd put that version up there with the top 20 greatest dribblers of all time. After all, he himself admitted that out of everything he's able to do on the pitch, dribbling is what came the most naturally to him. But of course, as he went on to tirelessly work on other parts of the game to match up to, and in some cases eventually surpass his dribbling, he inevitably became less known for his dribbling and more known for factors such as his work ethic. And I think even the Messi stans would agree, he has certainly earned that reputation. And to be fair, much like Messi's dribbling, Ronaldo's work ethic shouldn't really be compared to anyone. But of course, that's not how all this works. And this has basically led some to believe that because he isn't as pedantic and obsessed as his Portuguese counterpart, Messi apparently doesn't work hard. Listen brother, I don't care who you are, there's no chance in hell that you can get this good and stay this good for this long without not only putting in the work, but putting in a ton of work. I mean, where do you want to start? There are reports of him wanting to win every game in training, at times embarrassing his teammates when angry, reports of him adopting a vegan diet during the season, endlessly practicing his free kicks. Turning into a specialist in your late 20s doesn't just happen by accident, my friend. And, particularly in his younger days, putting in hours upon hours in the gym, as he wasn't exactly blessed with either size or strength. So again, does Messi have insane natural talent? Of course he does. But just remember, that can only take you so far for so long. Not to a level where you're in your mid-30s and still taking entire digits of 20-year-old defenders' price tags at the world stage. Now, while the two examples I've presented so far were pretty evidential, the next one is rather speculative, and is the age-old debate regarding Messi's adaptability. Now look, considering the league he was in and the team he was playing in, I know Messi didn't do all that well in France. But that doesn't directly equate to him flopping in the Premier League. I wish life worked in such simple ways. Besides, this cold rainy night in Stoke shit has been going on way before Messi even joined PSG. And how did it start? Of course, from the CR7 comparison. Cause you know, Ronaldo actually did play in Stoke. And again, look, Ronaldo is obviously more adaptable than Messi. He has the physical attributes, a superior athletic dimension, a killer mindset, and whether he was at United, Juventus, or during that stupid Galacticos era at Madrid, he's significantly more used to having to adapt to new teammates, managers, and style of play. I get all that. As a matter of fact, I myself have said on more than one occasion that there is no chance that Messi can adapt as well as CR7, especially in the Premier League, especially back 20 years ago. But flop? Are you serious? I mean, it's not really fair to compare this guy to anyone, but let's look at players with a not too dissimilar style of play to Messi. Gianfranco Zola, Eden Hazard, Juninho, even Mo Salah to an extent, all have flourished here in England. And likewise, with time and practice, Messi would have done so too, and given how amazing he is, would have eventually entered the conversation of being one of the Premier League's greatest ever. Facts. Now so far my examples have been of the attributes of one GOAT being underrated due to the brilliance of the other. But for my next one, I actually wanted to give an example that goes both ways. That being passing. So Messi is a better passer than Ronaldo. That is clear for all to see. But boy do people go so over the top with this. And yes, in both ways, i.e. criminally underrating Ronaldo's passing and hilariously overrating Messi's passing. Now to be fair, these things aren't just a result of Messi and Ronaldo's passing being compared to each other. There are outside factors as well. For example, Ronaldo is widely believed to be a poor passer of the ball for someone at his level, and along with the comparisons to Messi, this wrongful reputation is also fueled by factors such as his hunger for goals in the second part of his career, his selfish antics like throwing his arms around at his teammates, and just a general tendency to be an absolute bell start from time to time. And yes, while he certainly isn't as good of a passer as Messi, and yes, is certainly a bell start from time to time, CR7 is still a very good passer of the ball. And I'm not saying that just because of his world-class crossing ability, or even because he's what, 4th in the all-time assist charts? Stats depend on many things, as I said. But even in general, in instances where he had to drop deep and spread the ball even in his later years, he was more than capable and very successful in doing so. So yeah, pay more attention to watching and less on tweeting. And speaking of tweeting, off we go on to Messi's passing again. So as I said, Messi's passing being overrated isn't just because he's clearly a better passer of the ball than the player he's always compared to. Another key factor is that Leo's best pass is his final ball. A ball which, when it works, looks brilliant and therefore can be instilled in these video compilations and thus eventually aid in altering the casual's perspective of his overall passing. And also Gary Lineker. Just lots and lots of Gary Lineker. And these factors makes a lot of us lose sight of facts like Messi never drops deep, sits in and pulls strings. And yes, I know that isn't his job, but maybe stop comparing his passing to people whose job it is to do that. Not to mention also, his passing is extremely one-dimensional, something which was heavily exposed during his time at PSG. Watch this for more info. And last but not least, while these line-breaking passes look spectacular when played back-to-back, their actual success ratio is, well, disgustingly low. And yes, I know, even someone like KDB has a low success rate when it comes to that pass. But you see, unlike Messi, that isn't the only arrow in KDB's passing quiver. Because this guy can also play as an 8, as a 10, out wide, and even up front. And still use his passing and link-up play to dominate games, since his decision making and awareness of where each player is practically second to none. On the contrary, whenever Messi plays in a position out wide, for example, he either cuts in and shoots, relies on his dribbling to get him to a position where he can play that final ball, tries to play that final ball from stupid positions anyway when he realizes he can't dribble his way out of trouble, or, more so nowadays than ever before, he simply gets brushed off the ball. And that is why, my friends, this forced and fairly far-fetched footy fallacy frequently featuring in the forefront of forums of both fans and famous players is so flippin' figuratively foreign to yet frankly fascinating for a fellow follower of football like me. Cause facts are, Ronaldo is a very good passer of the ball, but just not as good as Messi. While Messi is one of the best passers of his generation among forward players, but when you factor in those playing deeper like midfielders or even players out wide, he simply doesn't make the cut. And as for those who think he's up there as one of the greatest passers of all time, yeah, get help. But not from me though. My knowledge on optometry is very low, you see. Just like yours in football, troll. Anyways, as far as on the pitch, those are the main examples I can think of. Let me know if there are any I'm missing. But for my final example though, I wish to move to something a little different, but just as, if not more prominent. So, because Ronaldo is transparently whiny, petty and, yes, a bell start from time to time, there are actually people who think Messi doesn't care about individual awards and or this rivalry. look, with this one, you don't even have to listen to me. Like, just go and look at how uptight he was when the 2015 Ballon d'Or was being announced, and the subsequent sheer relief on his face after he'd been given the award following 2 years of CR7 winning it back to back. Not to mention, he also never voted for Ronaldo while the two were playing together in Spain. And then go and hear some of Leo's old teammates speak, like Xavi, Henry, or even Kevin Prince Boateng, and you'll see for yourself, if you didn't already know and weren't merely pretending not to, that Messi not only has a massive ego, but also was very aware and did used to keep up to date with how Cristiano was getting on. The only difference between them is that Cristiano is simply more open about all this because, well, that's just his personality. He doesn't hide when laughing, he doesn't hide when crying, he's always worn his heart on his sleeve. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not implying that Messi is fake. I think that's the wrong word to use. I just feel that he knows that if he was more expressive of his true emotions, it would just create a media shitstorm. I just don't think he'd be bothered to deal with all of that. He seems more like someone who just prefers to play football, pack up, and go home to his wife, which is fine. Or allegedly to a lady that's not his wife, which is not so fine. Either way, stop being fooled by agenda-fueled idiots in the media. That's not fine either. And the ultimate takeaway as far as the bigger picture should go something like this. Compare these guys all you want. I myself do so all the time. But try and not let that make you completely lose sight. Cause yes, due to them being so different yet so similar, they will inevitably prevail in different parts of the game. But that doesn't make any of them lacking in that specific department they are inferior to the other in. Cause at the end of the day, no matter what the attribute is in question, it is very likely that one of them is simply suffering the misfortune of being compared to one of, if not the absolute, best in the business. And that is that. Agree or disagree beats indifference. Once again, don't forget to like and share. Let me know in the comments if there are examples you can think of that I've left out. And of course, please subscribe. Till next time, people, keep rolling.